hazardous. She's only 17, made us curious. It was a carefree time. How about we jump back and rewind? We were living on Winger and a prayer, just garbage pail kids with mullets and big hair. Let's open up another pack. Gen X wants their future back. Break out the denim jackets and faded band patches. Share memories, Polaroid captured. It's the Gen X marks the spot podcast.
My fellow rockers, welcome to the show. I'm Gen X Joe, and we are live from the Wherever I May Roam studio, and this is the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast. The amps are up and the mic is on. I just want to apologize for my voice. I am still down and out with this cold and sinus, and I don't wish it on anybody. So let's hope I get a speedy recovery, but I heard it kind of keeps you down for about 10 days, which is not cool because my wife will testify. It's not really called the man flu. It's just called that I'm a baby and I need pampered. So I'm just going to put that out there. Finally, a guy admits the truth, okay? Let's just leave it alone, and we're going to move on because I have some really exciting news, okay? Things have been absolutely incredible around here at the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast. This show is growing. The response has been overwhelming, and I don't want to jinx anything, but as any good rock and roller knows, you never count your backstage passes before they're in your hand. We have some very exciting news about sponsorships on the horizon. So fingers crossed, rock fist in the air. If everything falls into place, I'll be making an announcement very soon. So stay tuned and keep spreading the word about the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast, because every one of you is making this podcast grow. As for our guest today, sometimes guests, they actually reach out to me, right? Unreal. And when that happens, it's usually something special. But when I opened my email not too long ago and saw today's guest name sitting in my inbox, man, I could say something that should be said, but I'm just going to say it this way. I about hit the floor. We're not going to say what I could have done in my pants, okay? Because usually unexpected emails for me are either bills or someone trying to extend my car warranty. But this time it was pure rock gold. I'm talking about Jeff Pilson, bassist, songwriter, rock and roll lifer, a man whose fingerprints are all over the soundtrack of Generation X. From all of his legendary work with Dokken and now Foreigner, Jeff is here today to talk about his other project, Black Swan. And if you haven't heard of them, well, shit, man, shame on you. Because this is what happens when greatness gets together and decides to show off. Because this is a super group. You got McAuley of MSG fame on vocals, Reb Beach of Winger and Whitesnake's fame on guitar, and the thunderous Starr of Ace Frehley behind the skins. And Jeff, you know, he's holding it down on the bass. This super group is so loaded with talent. Jeff is here today to talk about Black Swan's newest album called Paralyzed, which is exactly what I was when that email arrived and his name was there. Paralyzed drops on February 27th. And of course, you know, while I had Jeff on the phone, I was going to talk Dokken, man, because we were all rocking like Dokken back in the day. So yeah, we're going to discuss that. Also, we're going to get into Jeff's leadership role now with Foreigner, following the retirement of legendary frontman Kelly Hansen. So let's all dust off those denim jackets as I talk to one of my jukebox heroes, Jeff Pilson of Black Swan.
So let's start with the new album with Black Swan, Paralyzed. This marks your third collaboration with your bandmates, the third album in, what, a 5-year span?
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, there's no lack of songwriting from this band. We've got the ideas flow. The theme, because there kind of is one, that comes from Robin's lyrics, and just as the songs got written, he sort of lyrically moved in a direction that sort of made it apparent where the whole thing was going. And I would say it's based more on that. He's a great storyteller with his lyrics. He really is. And there was this album opens up with "When the Cold Wind Blows," which is basically a call to, hey, when things look dark, you just got to keep on rocking, that kind of thing. And there's just a lot of cool statements in that sort of general direction. And I think a lot of people are feeling sort of down right now, or feeling kind of beaten down by things. Maybe it's the economy, whatever. It's pretty easy to get beaten down by the system or by what's going on. And I think that's where he was kind of coming from. It just like, don't let it beat you down.
You kind of had two hats on this album, as bassist and producer, actually three maybe, lyricist as well. How did you balance those roles?
Well, pretty easily with this band, because number one, we have a system that works great. Reb comes out and he'll spend a week here, and we'll work very long, hard days for about a week, and we'll come up with generally like the first half of the album, maybe a little bit more, and we write the music for the songs, and we arrange it. And generally, sometimes there's editing that goes on once the lyrics happen, but as a rule, we come up with the solid arrangements for the music. And like I say, that's a week that usually gets started with the first half. And then we send it to Robin, and then Robin does his thing. He's really good. He like digests the music a lot first, and then he starts just what does it spark in him, and he starts writing lyrics and melodies. And generally, he'll do like a draft, and a lot of times he'll record it at home, and then we'll say, we'll make critiques, and then it gets close enough to the point where then he comes here, and generally he and I kind of refine it a little more. And then sometimes his ideas are nearly perfect right off the bat. Sometimes they need work. It's like everything. Everything's different. But then we do the vocals, and once the vocals are done, we have the song. And then we do the same approach for the last half of the record. Once we get that first half kind of done and sort of know where we're going, then Reb comes out again, spends another week, and we come up with the rest of the record. And then we have the whole thing. Then Robin digests the music, comes up with lyrics and melodies, we work on them, and then we have a record. And then once the record is pretty much done, the guitar solos, everything, then we have Matt add the drums. It's not my favorite way to do it. I love it when a band plays live together to do
Yep.
drums, guitar, bass, and drums. But it's just not possible in our situation with everybody living in different places, with my schedule, which is wacky because of Foreigner. So Matt adds the drums last. But the cool thing about that is that that's when we get to hear it turn into a human energy machine. You know what I mean? It's like it's very nice to, in that last stage, like you get the kick in the pants, with the real drums, and that's and he does fabulous with that. Then we mix it, and then we're done. And I, as the producer, I would never want to tamper with that. So the goal is not necessarily for the sound to evolve, but for the song. But we want to concentrate on making sure the songwriting never lets up, that we're always on top of the songwriting, wherever that may take us. And the thing about Black Swan is I think everybody loves what they bring in naturally. I mean, a lot of the music is from Reb's riffs and Reb's playing and his natural love for that music. That's where a lot of the music comes from. And Robin's lyrics and melodies come from his heart. So it's a very natural process. We don't need to worry about it evolving or not evolving. It's just keeping on top of the quality, and that's my main concern.
Guys bring together a lot of good veteran musicians. You formerly of Dokken, currently of Foreigner, MSG, Winger, Whitesnake, Ace Frehley with Matt. That chemistry does seem to be working really well.
We love working together. We come up with good stuff, and people seem to like it. So yeah, no reason to stop it.
Now, just taking a little bit of time to talk about your career. You've had an incredible career spanning decades, again, multiple legendary acts. What does this band allow you to express maybe that you couldn't in other bands or projects?
I don't think of it necessarily like that. I think of it more as an opportunity to collaborate with guys that I really love to collaborate with, that I have great chemistry with. I have amazing writing chemistry with Reb. We just have, it just works. It's just great. And I have an amazing chemistry with Robin. Um, Matt fits in great because, I mean, again, the way we approach it, he's usually last. So we don't get to take advantage as much of Matt as there would be if we were, say we were a full-time band and we got together and did the basics live together. I'm sure Matt would get an opportunity to add even more. But when he puts down his drums, it's really great. Um, so so again, I this project for me is it's just an opportunity to create, make music. I love to record, um, and work with people that I know are great and that I love to work with and that I love personally.
Now, looking back at Dokken and that classic lineup, there have been some iconic albums all the way from the debut of Breaking the Change through Dysfunctional that you were a I'm sorry, that you were a part of. From your perspective, which album or song, however you want to answer that, spoke volumes to you with whether you had a hand in writing, producing, bass work, whatever it may be?
It's Not Love to me is always like I really just love how that song came out. And I remember very clearly how George and I wrote it. And we went in one day very early in the morning after being up all night and did the scratch vocal for that song. Actually, it was Mick and I sang on the mic live, and we were doing like kind of the harmonies live as a scratch to show Don.
Hmm.
And I was just, and it's pretty loose. If I were to hear it now, I think, oh boy, that's funny. But at the same time, Don did an amazing job of copying it and making it his own, which I thought was amazing. Um, but there's a couple other things. I want to say the song "Will the Sun Rise." That's a song that I will never forget. George and I were working on a song, on a particular song one night, and this is what on the Tooth and Nail tour. So we were sharing a room. This goes back a long ways, and we were working on a song. We kind of hit a dead end with it, and I fell asleep, and George just stayed up and kept working. And by early morning, I kind of woke up, and he was still working, and he had the chorus idea for "Will the Sunrise," the music for it. I was just so blown away. It was kind of reminiscent of the song that we were working on the night before, but he kind of took it in a whole new way and made something different of it. And when I was just waking up and I'm hearing this and I'm going, "That's great!" That's awesome. And we got all excited. So and then brought the music to Don, and he and we started writing the verses together, and then that chorus came about, and it was just, and Don had a lot to do with that chorus. So I mean, this is a song that I wouldn't take a lot of credit for in the songwriting department, but I think it's just an amazing example of where Dokken was at its strongest, when those elements just fused together. To me, I would never have come up with a chorus like that with "Will the Sunrise." That was total. That's a Don melody, that just speaks volumes to me. And so that I've always taken that as a very magic song, even though it wasn't necessarily a big popular song or anything, but it was a great example. Unchain the Night, the same thing happened. We had the music for it. It was originally called Under Lock and Key,
Hmm.
and Don actually did a whole vocal on it as Under Lock and Key. And I just remember after the session and George heard it, George said, "That's not right. That's not right. We gotta come up with something better." And we went to my house and stayed up all night and came up with Unchained the Night. And when that happened, we brought it in and showed it to everybody. I want to say, who was working on that with us? Because I want to say, oh, it was Neil Kernon. Neil
Mm.
Kernon and Michael Wagner both did that record, but at this point we were showing Neil Kernon, and everybody was like, "Wow, this is amazing." And we showed it to Don, who at first was like, "What? You want me to sing that?" And like that's pretty hard or whatever. And you know what? He went in there and he did it, and he nailed it. I mean, it was really great. And it just I mean, I remember feeling so inspired by the band at that point because we were taking our strengths and making everything better by each other's strengths. And Don became a better singer as a result. I certainly learned about a lot about writing and band dynamics with all that. It's too bad we couldn't keep that up. We lost that edge later on, but I was those memories really impress upon me on how special Dokken could be when the chemistry was right.
What is your relationship with the rest of the guys in the band now? I know Mick is completely retired, and you and George still stay in touch. How's things with you and Dawn?
Well, I haven't spoken to him for a while, and he was saying some pretty nasty stuff in the press not that long ago, which cracks me up. But I mean, I'm so over it, which led me to believe, like, okay, that's fine. But then somebody sends me an interview just a few days ago where he's saying, yeah, if George and Jeff came up with some music, I'd write it. We could do an EP or something. I'm thinking, you just attacked us a few months ago and said we were a bunch of drug addict losers. It's like kind of cracked me up. But anyway, my relationship with Don, I mean, I love him dearly. I really do. I get really angry with him, and and I haven't for a while, but it's like I think we know each other very, very well. We do have. I mean, we proved 10 years ago that we still had chemistry when we did the new song for the Return to the East record. Um, so my relationship with Don is probably fine. I mean, again, I was a little taken back at how negative he was recently, but that's it goes in waves, I guess. Yeah. So, I mean, my relationship is probably fine. My relationship with Mick is great. I've talked with him not that long ago. He's a happy dude. He is loving retirement. He's in a good place. And yeah, George and I talk all the time.
Yeah, I see George is going to be continuing with Lynch Mob now as well.
Yeah, yeah, he's got a cool lineup going, and they all get along great. They're great players. It's a great band. Why not?
I apologize if I don't know this story, and it may have been talked about multiple times, but I've always been curious how you came about being a member of Foreigner.
Very simple. So I did a movie that came out in 2001 called Rockstar, and
Right.
in the movie with me was Jason Bonham, who son of John Bonham, and everybody knows who
Oh,
Jason Bonham is. Anyways, well, Jason and I, we were tight in the band. There was something musically that really connected with us, and personally we connected. We wrote a song together that wasn't in the movie, but I believe it was on the soundtrack record. We just had a good chemistry. So a couple years later, he was working with Mick Jones, and they were trying to figure out, what it was going to be. Was it going to be a Mick Jones solo record or whatever? But anyways, he kind of talked Mick into thinking about revamping Foreigner. So they called me up. I came down. We rehearsed for a week, and then we did a charity show up in Santa Barbara, and it was just fantastic. And I loved it because I love Foreigner. As soon as we started playing together, everything just clicked musically. So Mick said, "Yeah, I'd like to, reform the band," and he wanted me in it. And there you go. I've been here ever since.
yeah, over 20 years. And you know what? I still cannot wrap my mind around this because it's going to make me feel old. But you have been in Foreigner longer than you've been in Dokken, basically.
In one shot, yes. Yeah, because Dawkins, the first time I was in it from '83 until we officially broke up in March of '89.
Hmm.
Um, so that's only 6 years. And then I was in it from '94 to 2000. So that's another 6 years. And I guess that was the last time I was in it, other than the 2016 reunion. So as far as time spent in the band, yes, I've been in the band in Foreigner longer. Absolutely.
That is just absolutely crazy for me to even wrap around that. I still want to think in my mind, it's like 1987 and I'm, you know, cruising down some mall parking lot, with Dock and Blasting, and here we are in 2026 right now, and you are now in Foreigner and in Black Swan.
Crazy world, isn't
It
it?
absolutely is. It just shows you how quickly time goes by. I know Mick is still involved with Foreigner. Have you taken more of a lead role in Foreigner now that he's not performing live?
Well, I mean, officially, when Kelly left, I officially became the band leader. I've been the musical director anyways for a lot of years, and a lot of my work is that anyways. So technically, I'm the leader, but my leadership skill is that make everybody feel like they're a part of it and do their thing. So, I don't like to push the leadership thing unless necessary. It's like it's still mixed band. Um, I have to make a lot of day-to-day calls that Mick can't, isn't there to make. So in that respect, yes, I've had to step up what I do. Um, the thing about it, the reason it's me is I know Mick pretty well, and I think I know what Mick would want and how Mick would react on things. And so a lot of the decisions I make are kind of based on that. And Mick trusts me with it, which is great. It really means a lot to me. Um, I don't think I deviate too far from the formula, if you will. I don't think I deviate too far away from what Mick and Lou certainly wanted. And Lou's been around us recently doing shows as a guest, and so I get a lot of I get to know him better, and I get that perspective. And I feel my role in Foreigner is to just make sure that it's 50 years of Foreigner now, and I'd like to make sure that 50 years from now people are still humming I want to know what love is. You know what I mean? That's
Oh,
my job.
absolutely.
Spread the word, take a great live band to go out there and play these songs, and just let people know what an amazing catalog of music this is.
Well, I know I've seen you guys with Kelly. If I just close my eyes, okay, and did not really realize who was in the band, and when I say this, meaning Kelly or Lou on vocals, you could not really tell much of a difference.
Well, that was the beauty of Kelly's approach. Is he honored the melodies so well that I think that that's exactly the effect it had on people. And that approach works because people want to hear the melodies that they love. So it worked really well. Kelly's got an amazing voice, and if you really analyze it, it doesn't sound that much like Lou. But when he's singing those melodies so accurately, it really works. And that was an approach that we took for years. It's going to be a little different now with Luis Maldonado. His voice is more different from Lou, which interestingly enough, Lou loves. Lou is so happy that Luis is our guy now. He loves Luis's approach to the music. And Luis stays true to the melodies, but he there's something a little different about it that's very compelling. That, as I say, Lou is 1,000% behind, and so is Mick. Mick loves Luis's voice. So we have a slightly fresher approach, I want to say. It's a little bit different. He does, like I say, sings the melodies, but when you see him, there's something really special and different and unique about him that is making the band really excited about what we've got coming up.
I believe you guys are coming to Pittsburgh this summer.
The Double Trouble Double Vision tour, man.
How cool is that name for a tour?
I know.
Got a little bit ahead of myself. I wanted to jump back a little bit, and if you're able to answer this question, awesome. If not, that's totally fine. What was the reasoning for Kelly stepping away?
Oh, I can answer that easy. He wanted to go out while he was still singing great. He didn't want to be one of those guys where his voice deteriorated and then he left. Um, but I'd say the main reason is he was just ready for a different aspect of life. 20 hard years on the road with Foreigner, that's a lot. It's a big commitment, especially for the singer who, remember, the singer has to be always thinking about preserving his voice. And there's a lot of life you kind of can't live the way you want to when you're under that kind of pressure. And it was all self-imposed. Nobody told him you can't go out and party. Nobody ever said that. Nobody ever had to. And I'm not saying he even wanted to go out and party necessarily, but again, he had to really, when he's on the road, it's not just some wild musician on the road, man. It's not that at all. When a singer's on the road who's conscientious, they have to take care of their voice. and they have to really be concerned. How are they talking after the show? Who are they talking? How loud are they talking before the show? It's a very involved process. So I think 20 years of that was pretty intense. He was newly married. He waited till he was 59 years old to have his first marriage.
Oh,
And his
wow.
wife is wonderful. So he wanted to experience life with her before, before you're in a wheelchair or whatever. So he just wanted to live life, and we all totally understood that and totally endorsed that.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, once you start a relationship and you get newly married, yeah, yeah, you gotta put that foot forward and put effort there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I totally endorse what he's doing.
I wanted to go back to see how is Mick doing?
He's doing well. I mean, because of his Parkinson's, that he's now made public, it's really not possible for him to perform anymore. But he's another guy that doesn't want to perform when there's physical limitations that don't allow him to be what he should be. So, got to respect that. And like I say, we defer to him on anything that needs deferring. He trusts us to carry on with the band. Overall, it's a very smooth running operation because everybody involved is not only great at what they do, but they understand the vision of the band. And so that's not hard to corral people to do something when the vision is that strong. And now with Luis singing, there's a new, fresh inspiration happening that's really, really working. It's really taking us to new places, and we're really excited about it. And the band just kicks ass. It's wonderful.
And one of the things that really irritates me is when someone just says a band, and I'm just going to use Foreigner because that's what we're talking about, is just a cover band now. And I don't look at that anymore. I've said this multiple times to other talents and artists. I kind of look at a band such as Foreigner as a sports team. I'm still a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan from the 1970s, but I'm also a big Steelers fan right now in 2025 and 2026. It's just different players in the game. You got to support
Yeah.
the team, you got to support the band. And for Foreigner to continue on, that to me is awesome.
Well, thank you. And I think more people feel like you do than it appears on the internet, because when somebody says things on the internet, it always looks more amplified than what it probably really is,
Yes.
which is why I understand that feeling is out there. And I understand there are some people that really are like, if it's not the original band, I don't dig it. Well, okay. If that's how you feel, I totally respect that. Then, if it was the original band that you were attracted to, that's great. But if it's the songs and the music, then would you prefer it continue or would you prefer it not to? So that's when it gets into your territory there. And it is kind of like a sports team. I mean, Terry Bradshaw, you wouldn't want to, I don't think he would want to have to quarterback the Steelers right now.
Exactly.
So, you know, um, and let's face it, the Yankees can't have Babe Ruth forever. So,
No.
I mean, yeah, there is a sports team aspect to it. Um, Again, I'm not really too bothered by the people that make the cover band comment. Um, I mean, because listen, what they're saying isn't coming from absolutely nowhere. There's a reason for that they're saying that. But then it gets to how seriously do you take that aspect of it, which is the original members. I love Led Zeppelin, but had Led Zeppelin toured with Jason Bonham in 2008 instead of John Bonham, I would have been really excited because John Bonham couldn't be there. So,
Right.
I mean, so it just all depends. Look at my situation with Dokken. Dokken continues without me. I've got no problem with that. I'm glad Don is trying to carry the torch. Great. It just depends on where you come from and what's really important to you. And what's really important to us is doing the music where we're being true to the vision of the music and true to the music itself, and doing the absolute best job we can and exciting audiences the best we can. And the thing is, we do it. We absolutely do it, and we absolutely come through every night. So I have I am very proud of what we do. I stand behind what we do. We do well and we sell tickets, so something's going right.
I'm trying to figure out how to word this, and I don't want to compare Black Swan to Dokken because they're two different sounds. But I just like the edginess, the harder side of both bands. Do you think that there's a little bit of Dokken that you brought into Black Swan?
Oh, no question. No question. Yeah, yeah, I'm not afraid to say that at all. Um, both Dokken and Black Swan love the heavy edge of the music, but there's always the consideration of melody. And all that is songwriting. That has, that it's not like we try to be soft or hard. You know what I mean? They
Hmm.
both come naturally. But what happens is we just write the music and we make it the best we can. And with Robin doing a lot of the melodic writing, with me doing some of the melody writing, with we're very melodic guys, so we bring a melodic sense to a heavy band. And both Dokken and Black Swan, that's kind of our vision. So yeah, absolutely, there's some of that in there.
I can tell.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
and finally, how would you like your overall contribution to rock music, to the bands you were in? How would you like to be remembered?
I'd still like to write the greatest song in the world. So that was a goal, so that would be nice. Um, but I mean, if I can be remembered as just a great band member, um, an inspired producer, a respected bass player, that would be great. I mean, I would love that.
All right, Jeff. Well, hey, real quick, there is a new release date out now. It's not the 13th anymore, February, for the new Black Swan album.
That's right. It's February 27th. But yes, it's coming soon. We're excited. I really think this is a fantastic record, and I really encourage people to listen to it. It's very inspired, and there's some great moments that I think people don't want to miss.
All right, well, I'll be looking forward to it. And again, thank you so much for being a part of the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast. And I hope to see you on the road this summer, whether it's with Foreigner and if there's any tours out there with Black Swan. Hopefully, I can catch you then as well.
Absolutely. Well, that would be wonderful, man. Thank you. This has been a great interview.
I don't think I could have said enough thank yous to Jeff for being on the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast. That was one of the most memorable episodes we have ever done here at the Wherever I May Roam studios. I mean, it's Jeff freaking Pilson. I mean, Jeff slid into my email inbox out of nowhere and just changed my week, month, okay, maybe year. I'm so glad that Jeff and I got to talk Black Swan and the brand new album Paralyzed that is dropping February 27th. And if this conversation about that new album got you as fired up as it got me, you are already pulling up your pre-order right now, and you should be. This record is the real thing, man. And this is a super group. Robin McAuley, Reb Beach, Matt Starr, and of course, Jeff. Man, it is proof that rock and roll is still alive and well, and it is absolutely refusing to go quietly. And so are our heroes, man. They are refusing to go away quietly. And speaking of going away quietly, Jeff and I also touched on Kelly Hansen and his departure from Foreigner. Man, Kelly, I'm wishing you the best with your new life, your new wife. Go and enjoy it, man. You absolutely earned it and deserve it. And I was a little hesitant to ask Jeff about his time in Dokken because sometimes the relationship between him and Don Dokken isn't the best. But hey, Jeff, you handled it like a professional, man. Thank you so much for answering those questions. And I say one last thing, Jeff. on behalf of every Gen X kid who grew up with your music blasting out of our bedroom or car stereo, thank you so much. Thank you for reaching out as well. Thank you for your time, and thank you for reminding us why we fell in love with rock in the first place. And one last thing to our listeners, again, you are the reason this show keeps growing. And speaking of growing, remember, we may have some exciting news coming soon on the sponsorship front. Again, rock fist in the air, fingers crossed. Stay tuned because I think you're going to love what's coming. Until next time, everyone, remember, rock loud and live proud. Peace out. Props, everyone, for listening. I'm Gen X Joe with the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast.
The Gen X marks the spot.